What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up?
What's up?
Man, sometimes you start a podcast and you just muffle your words. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sharpest Tool. I'm your host, JRP, along with the wonderful Nicholas Bosco. It's been a minute.
It has.
Back in the virtual booth. But, Bosco had something that he signed a contract today, actually, saying that he's been so busy tackling so many things. But we are back and happy to be so. Today, we want to talk about something that I think is always important. And Bosco brought it up because he's been clearly thinking about it a lot. And that is brand and the importance of brand. So, Bosco, why don't you kick us off? I'm usually kicking us off here. I want you to kick us off about brand. And why has this been on your mind so much lately?
It fascinates me when I talk to businesses in general about brand, and we lose sight of it. When people think brand, it's like, oh yeah, my brand presence, my brand recognition. But like, to me, brand is more about just presence online. Like, oh yeah, I get my brand out there. We say household name. We talk about the well-known brands that are out there in terms of like Disney, Coca-Cola, things like that. But to me, it's like, do you as a business owner really fully understand what your brand is? Do you as a business owner really understand what your customers understand what your brand is?
Yeah.
Right. And we lose sight of that. And I have talked in spades. I have talked in different styles with customers. And to me, brand is very personal.
Yeah.
Because it's not about just your name to me. And Ryan has said this, Ryan Reynolds, Josh, I love the guy.
Yeah.
Well branded, but he said this too. There is an emotional investment that needs to be made with your brand.
Totally.
And when you invest into the emotional side of things, when you invest into your emotion tied to the brand, you start to build up a group of people. Your brand becomes resilient in these toughest times, right? You're actually able to make it out of the financial struggles. And we lose sight of that. And to me, brand is such a topic of discussion that we could do on multiple podcasts.
Totally. Well, what's interesting is brand, people often forget brand. Oftentimes people think about brand as like your logo, your colors, your wrap, your pictures, and your website, all of those things.
Yeah. I got it. I'm done. That's it.
All of those things feed your brand, but your brand really is the total sum. In my opinion, it's the total sum of the collective emotional connection that people have with your business. Yeah. It is the total sum, the aggregate of what people are saying about you. That effectively is a brand. So everything, when you think about it, every interaction with a customer, every time your technicians or your people are wearing your logo out into, a restaurant or wherever they might be going throughout the day, they're giving customers a perception of what your brand is ultimately like. And people are either going to be attracted to that or they're going to reject it. Right? They're going to feel good about it, or they're going to feel indifferent about it. And so, it's interesting. One of my favorite books, I'm a big Seth Godin fan, and one of
Dr. Seuss for me.
Seth Godin had a book that I read a couple years ago called Purple Cow.
Oh, yep.
And it's about transforming your business into being remarkable. And it's the difference between being remarkable and being safe is how he frames it. So
I like that.
In your career, he says, in your career, even more than for a brand, playing safe is actually risky. The path to lifetime job security is to be remarkable. There's a lot of ways you could take it. I love this book so much because it applies to your business. You can apply it to your people. You can apply it to you personally. So if you're working at an organization, you have a personal brand. It's the collective sum of how people feel about interacting with you.
100%.
Right? And so he said this too, which always stuck out to me. He says, if you're remarkable, it's likely that some people won't like you. Which we never think about. We always everybody wants to be liked. As a business,
everybody wants to be liked.
As a business, who do you want to target? Everybody. I can work with everybody. Oh, that's true. You can work with everybody. But the reality is that if you're truly remarkable, it's likely that some people will not like you. And just take any influencers on social media, you'll see this to be true. Check their comments. Some people love them, some people don't like them, right? But that's part of the definition of remarkable. Nobody gets unanimous praise ever. The best the timid can hope for is to be unnoticed. Criticism comes to those who stand out.
It does. And, we were touching on this earlier, Josh. when you touch on something like, and for anybody out there, it doesn't matter if you're selling a product or a service, your brand needs to stand out. It needs to be recognized. And we were talking about this earlier about when you start creating something that people are going to talk about, whether it's good or bad, you're creating a debate around it.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to people that are selling a service, we're going to talk about in the plumbing industry.
Yeah.
Right. There are some companies out there that I've seen have done really, really well about standing out. They become remarkable because they're creating content that ties to their community. And it's funny to me because I've seen others who are timid, who, well, no, that's not good enough, or that's not going to work. But the challenge that you run into is business owners will get stuck about how they view their business, which isn't wrong. You need to understand, whatever your brand is, you need to make sure you stick with it. But sometimes they get stuck in this mind of well, this is what my brand is, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah.
And they forget about, well, what do your clients want? And not everybody's going to like it. Like, for example, I'm an avid fisherman. I love fishing. Not everybody's going to love fishing. Yeah. I get it. Right. And I can talk about it for days, but other people are like, okay, dude, this is watching paint dry. I don't want to listen to this, but it's okay. Right. But it's something that you're passionate about. And there are others that are passionate about it.
Totally.
But when you start creating that brand with an emotional attachment to it, right, in the right context, you're building up a group of people that are really bought into what you do.
Yeah.
Right. And again, you can see different brands that are out there. I'm not going out right away to buy a specific product, right? Top of funnel. Mm-hmm. But that brand resonated with me because of an emotional attachment. I was like, wow, that really worked for me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, guess what? When I'm in the purchasing part of the funnel, I remember that.
Yeah.
So now that brand is tied to me, so I'm going to. And, for everybody listening, Josh has heard me talk about this time and time again when it comes to Ryan Reynolds. I tell you, I praise him because of what he's done.
Yeah.
Right? He understands how to anchor to the audience. He understands how to really connect, but he does something different. He becomes remarkable.
Yeah.
Right. And he's lovable by some. And I'm sure there's people out there that don't agree with him. And there's people that don't want to listen to him. And I know he's got his aviation gin. Well, I'm not ready to start buying aviation gin, but probably what's going to happen, Josh, if you're not ready to go have a glass of gin,
probably get aviation gin.
I'm going to get aviation gin. Why? Because what he does in his marketing is emotional and it ties to me. I love his humor.
Yeah.
I love the way that he approaches things.
Yeah.
Right. And I've grown up that way with him. So to me, it's there's that emotional attachment. So especially for companies that have been in business for years, right? There was an emotional attachment to the community. They were respected. They built up that brand. You have to be cautious too. Sometimes when you grow big, you lose sight of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners, they're like, I get it. I understand. You want to grow to where you can retire early and sell your business. But you've got to be mindful of that too. Is it going to lose its brand?
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Thinking back to this quote about playing it safe is risky.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Another way to frame that, I think, from a business owner perspective is if you're trying to appeal to everybody, you end up appealing to nobody. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so it's such a conundrum because as a business, you want to play it safe. It's tough to, even though as business owners, and we're innately, as a business owner, you're innately prone to risk. You're taking a risk by being a business owner, right? Yep. So it's so funny that the minute we get to brand and actually standing out and doing something remarkable and something different, we're shy away from it. Because it's interesting. I was talking to a business owner a couple months ago, specifically about some video content that we wanted to shoot. And they were very concerned and focused around who they had in the videos because of who they wanted the videos to appeal to. On the surface, seems like a really smart thing to do, right?
Sure.
But what it ends up happening is you have to keep up that charade, right? Mm-hmm. You have to keep that going in order to appeal to that segmented audience you're trying to appeal to.
Right.
Rather than the authentic, genuine approach to appeal to a group of people who genuinely and authentically are going to continue to buy into you. Two different philosophies. You could go both ways. But the reality is you need to be consistent with whatever way you choose. Consistency breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds a brand that people want to ultimately follow and be a part of. I was listening to this podcast last night, and this guy, millions of followers, and he was talking about somebody he interviewed on his podcast.
Yeah.
And this person was super passionate. I love that you brought up passion. Super passionate about talking about and helping people with billing insurance or something to that degree.
Okay.
That's all she talked about. Guess how many followers she had? Actually, let me start here. Guess how much revenue she was making a year, gross,
For what was it for billing?
for
What was
billing insurance.
Billing insurance? 200,000.
She's making $1 million a year, gross profit.
Okay, then.
Guess how many followers she had in order to make that $1 million?
She's got to be garnishing over like 100,000, 200,000 followers.
That's what you would think. She had 6,000 followers.
Wait, what?
6,000 followers turning over $1 million a year. Why?
Let me guess. Brand loyalty.
She found a group of strong advocates that bought her, that bought into her, what she was putting out, and she had content, she had extra things that people could purchase. But it's like, that's the power of the authentic, genuine brand. And the people that aren't afraid to be themselves stand out from the pack. Yes, you're going to get haters. Yes, you're going to get people that don't like what you're putting out. But when you're authentic and you're genuine, it's kind of interesting. It seems to me, the more I look into this, you naturally flock to an audience that is going to buy from you again and again and again. Right?
Yeah. There was a post that I saw someone put out there. It was a home service business, and it says relationship status in love with an AC unit. And I thought it was good humor. It was just good humor.
Yeah.
But they're garnishing an audience. That's just how they are. That's the company. That's what they do. They just love to be funny. And to your point, I love that for someone to go out there and not even in home service, just in any business, influencers, even in your family, whether you're at work, how you are represented, when you're not authentic, you can tell it comes off very fake.
Yeah.
And you're actually, to your point, right? When you try to appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody. It's exactly, you're like, oh, well, everybody's going to like this. And I've fallen into that trap before. I'm like, okay, well, I want to make sure what is it? The people pleasers. And I try to please everybody, and it just doesn't work that way. And you know what? When you're yourself, when you're doing it, when you're representing it the way you are, you get the people that will be attracted to you. They do come to you. And we know in the home service industry, people need you. People need it.
Yeah.
People need the roofers. People need the plumbers.
Yep.
People need the HVAC. People need pest control. They need it all.
Yeah.
But you've got to be yourself, because you will build that audience that comes to you. So when it comes to your brand, I want everybody to take away that you've got to have that emotional investment. You have to. It's not about just the financial investment. 10 out of 10, I will bet on it that you have to have your emotional investment into it.
Yeah.
Be authentic, be yourself, because you're going to attract that group. And we've talked about this before in previous podcasts where we were talking about like social and how it's working and building up the content there and the brand. But overall, your holistic view. I've seen businesses where they get involved with the community.
Yeah.
Right? It's a great approach. I love that. Right? Because now the community's bought into them.
Yeah.
Right? But that's who they really are. And when you talk to them, you hear that passion in the business owner's voice. We're like, yeah, this is what we did. Here's how we helped out. We donated. We supported the baseball team. We got involved with a food drive. And I'm like, that's great. I love it. But that's because they love doing it. And guess what happened? They built up their reputation. They built up the brand. They built up their credibility. Now all of a sudden, they're getting people that are calling them.
Yeah. How does this sit with you? This comment? As consumers, we're too busy to pay attention to advertising, but we're desperate to find good stuff that solves our problems. How does that resonate with you? And how does that feed into this idea of brand building?
We are as consumers, we have a lot going on, right? And what I mean by that is there's a lot thrown at us. There's a lot we deal with in the day-to-day. And sometimes we don't know what we want, but we feel what we want. Right. And so in my mind, I get it. I am hit, like if I'm home with my family and maybe I'm vegging out because I just want to watch Netflix. Right. Fine. I'm not going to get really hit. And all of a sudden, maybe I jump on social media. So I get hit with ads there. I don't know what I want at that time. I just want to unplug and just relax. But at the same time, I've got stuff that's going through my mind and I want to find this connection with things. And when I start finding this connection, right, from an emotional investment, I started getting attached to it. So to me, I see it as you as a business, flipping again, we talked about this. When you invest this emotional, you start connecting with me as a consumer. Because again, there's so much going on in my day-to-day. right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to resonate with you from an assimilation aspect because of what you're putting out there. Because wow, hey, again, I'll bring him up with Ryan Reynolds. Like, I love his humor. I love to be humorous. I do. I enjoy it. I think it's fun, and I like to crack jokes, and so it's great. But I resonate with him because of the way he approaches it, and so I'm bought into him. I listen to him. So when he does come up, I resonate with him. So it's not that I'm searching for it, but I am busy with my day to day. But when he pops up, I'm going to pause and take a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
It's interesting because what I think of when I hear that, for me, it always harkens back to something Google dubbed a couple years ago, which is we're in the age of assistance, right? Everybody's looking for help, and a lot of people want to do it yourself. There's no shortage of information. People can find it if they really want it, right? And oftentimes we think that specific content we put out, as it's feeding our brand, it's just going to magically produce somebody clicking over and calling you, right?
It's true.
So we often over advertise. The reality is the advertising landscape's wildly changed in the past 60 years, right? I mean, back in the day, people were seeing 50 advertisements a day. Today, they see over 4,000 advertisements in a single day. Like, without even knowing it, we are so immune to advertisement. And so when I hear something like this, we're desperate to find good stuff that solves our problem, right? Whether that's a solution, some help that we need, eventually we're going to get to a point as consumers where we don't want to solve the problem ourselves. We want somebody else to come solve the problem for us.
Sure.
And the people that are top of mind are the ones that are not, honestly, in some ways, not even asking for it. They're not pushing something on us. They're just trying to help.
Yeah.
And so it's so important for that, it's like the more crowded the marketplace, and in home services, I feel like this is continuing to increase in terms of competition. But the more crowded the marketplace, the busier your customers are, the more you need this idea of the purple cow, right? Half measures are going to fail. Overhauling your product or your service with dramatic improvements in things the right customers care about, that can have a huge payoff. And I think that's oftentimes we miss that when we try and tiptoe into things. We want to dip our toe into, how do we do this helpful Honda dealer thing? We don't want to go full bore in it, right? We don't want to have that thing that is like starkly different.
Yeah.
But in today's community, when it comes to, and for what it's worth, I'm not even talking about, there are some people that take this to extremes, right? They have everything is pink on their trucks and their logos. And it's like, that's
sure.
It's intended to stand out from the crowd, right? But it could be something completely different. It all depends on who your audience is and who you are as a company.
Yeah.
Because who you are is going to be what you end up attracting, right? You're going to attract the people based on the culture that you're creating. So anyways, really powerful stuff. Any thoughts in closing, like with respect to brand, where should somebody place their focus today?
You should never stop thinking about your brand. Yeah. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and then you do one thing one day and change it the next day and change it the next day, but you should drive consistency in your brand. And I think you as a business owner need to step back for a second. And do you really understand what your brand is? Do your employees really understand what your brand is? Do your consumers really understand what your brand is?
Yeah.
But if you're questioning your brand, you need to reevaluate. But again, every single day, tie back the emotional investment into your brand. Drive it home.
I love that. Awesome. Bosco, always good, my friend. Everybody listening, if you found this helpful, feel free to share it around. But definitely hit that like button, get that subscribe button, a nice pound. And until next time, from all of us here at the Sharpest Tool, we'll see you then.
See ya.